I'm a big fan of trying to kidnap my friends. So I feel like most car guys have some sort of prankster gene inside of them. That certainly has come out a few times in different opportunities I've had to play pranks on people. And probably the easiest one, and one that a lot of people have done, is when my buddy was going on his honeymoon out of the country and I knew he wouldn't have cell service. I got some pictures of his Infiniti G35 and posted it on Craigslist for just slightly below value. Not enough that people would think it was a scam, but enough that everybody would be calling him. So of course he came back after a couple weeks away to his voicemail completely full of people trying to buy his G35, asking where to wire the money, why was priced so cheap, all that. And he called me immediately cursing me out. And it was the gift that kept on giving, because he would get calls for months and months afterwards, because people would find the cache listing and all that, even after I had taken it down. So that was a good one, but that was a very simple and easy one. But a couple of other ones I've done is I'm a big fan of trying to kidnap my friends. So the first one was when my friend Dave was getting married. So we're like, all right, well, we're going to kidnap him for his bachelor party. This seemed like a great idea at the time. So we took my Subaru wagon and three of my friends. So we mounted cameras in it and all that. And we had told him the bachelor party was the next day, so he wouldn't be suspecting something. We had arranged this with his fiance, and she was over at his house, and they were doing some work on his house and all that. So we knew he was going to be there, and we were just going to show up, and we were going to roll in and put stockings over our heads, run in. The four of us guys could certainly take him and just grab him and throw him in the car. Now, we realized this might be a little bit of a bad idea as we're driving down the street where he lives, because he lived in kind of a not too great area of Cleveland at the time. And four white suburban guys driving down the street with stockings over their heads, we certainly got some funny looks. Thankfully, it didn't amount to anything more than that. But we roll up to his house and jump out, and we're like all ready to go. We run in, we bash open the door, and Dave is sitting in the middle of an unfurnished room that they had just been painting. And he's just sitting in his armchair in nothing but his underwear, sweating, just covered in sweat from all the work he had been doing. And we all kind of like run in, like ready to grab him, and just stop and go, hey Dave, you wanna go shower and put some clothes on? And his fiance is like, hey, we tried. I tried to get him to clean up, but he wouldn't. So that was kind of a kidnapping gone wrong, and he certainly enjoyed the effort of it. But he went with us of his own volition, and we took him out to the racetrack and got him sufficiently liquored up and had a good bachelor party, notwithstanding the failed kidnapping. Try number 2 was certainly a little bit less dramatic. We were taking my friend out for his 30th birthday party. We were going to a steam room, and I'm like, hey, there's like a dozen of us. I'm like, let's all park down the street and, roll in and try to grab him and do the same thing. Just put him in the car, because it was a surprise. And that one was completely undramatic. Nobody heeded the instructions. People just didn't park in the right place. He saw them pull up. So it really completely backfired there. So that was the most undramatic kidnapping failure ever. I was determined the third time that I was not going to fail. My friend Steve had appointed me as his best man, and therefore I was in charge of his bachelor party. So I said, well, what's a bachelor party without a production, and of course a well-orchestrated prank? He loves pizza and beer, so we lined up to have all the best pizzas in Cleveland at my shop and a bunch of microbrews, so we could have like a pizza and beer tasting and determine the best pizza in Cleveland. And one of my friends, who was also in his party, has some criminal background. In fact, one time I asked him to go to my shop to get something, to pick up a sign, I think, and I'd realized that the door was locked, of course, because I wasn't there. But I'm like, you know how to break in, right? He goes, yeah. So, and I had to break into my shop once before, and it had taken me like 10 minutes to get in. And I'm on the phone with him, and I disable the alarm while I'm on the phone with him. I said, okay, let me know, when you're good to go. And about 10 seconds later, he goes, okay. I'm like, oh, you in? He goes, no, I'm already in and out. I got the sign. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is the guy who knows how to do a kidnapping. And he had actually done it multiple times before for pranks with his friends, or so he says. He borrowed an unmarked van from a friend who had helped him out with this, and he walked me through how to do this properly. So what we were going to do is we were going to pull up where my friend works, which is ironically at our church, and we had told his boss and a couple other people what was going on so they wouldn't freak out and actually call the cops on us, because we were wearing ski masks and all that, so we wouldn't know our identity. We had this all orchestrated. We were going to park next to his car and say that we needed a jump start, and that our cables were in the side door, and we'd open the side door, and the two of us who were inside were going to grab him. My other friend, who is just a giant Shrek of a guy, would come around the back and grab him and push him in to make sure he got in. The only thing we had to be careful about, though, is Steve always carries a utility knife. So we're like, all right, we need to make sure that the element of surprise works, and we grab him and get him in before he freaks out and tries to get at his knife. So we had coordinated this with his wife. She had made plans with him for that evening so that he'd be available. The problem is, at the last minute, my friend's cohort in these previous kidnappings couldn't get away from work, so he sent his son in his place, who had never done this before. And that kind of proved to be our undoing. So me and my buddy Ian are in the back of the van, ski masks on, and so all we can do is hear what's going on. And we wait and we wait and we wait, and Steve finally comes out, and I hear this kid get out of the driver's seat, and he's like, hey, car won't start. Do you mind giving me a jump? And Steve, ever just the kind, lighthearted person caring about others, is like, yeah, sure, no problem. They get in between their two vehicles, right in position. And now my instructions are, I'm not opening the door, right? The door is being opened from the outside. So we're just waiting there. And my buddy Mudry comes around the corner and grabs Steve, but because this other kid was new and he wasn't used to this before, he didn't exactly know what to do. So the door never opened, and we're just sitting inside this van, and Steve starts screaming bloody murder after Mudry grabs him, and I just hear, help, 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 just screaming his lungs off. And so I'm like, I gotta open the door and we gotta assist this. So I rip open the door and try to grab Steve. And Steve's a scrappy dude, but Mudry is twice his size. But it is unbelievable the strength that people will have when they are literally scared for their lives and flailing. And we could not get him in the van. So we finally determined that this was just not going to work. And we let him just go, and he starts just running away across the parking lot. And so I rip off my ski mask and chase him down. I'm like, Steve, chill out. It's us. It's just a prank. It's us. And he was so relieved that in the middle of the parking lot, he just rips off his shirt. Not the reaction I was expecting, but there's Steve in the middle of the parking lot, glad that he didn't just, lose his life, and shirtless and panting. We're like, well, frick, that one didn't work either. So I was like, all right, Steve, well, okay, now that you're relieved, but seriously, you got to get in the van, come with us. He's like, no, I can't. Me and Nicole, which is his fiance, we're going to ice cream, because that was her alibi, is what their plans were that evening. And I'm like, no, Steve, get in the van. You're coming with us. He's like, no, we have to go to ice cream. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. She's in on it. Just come with us. And he was like, what? Are you kidding me? He was so upset that she was in on it and this whole thing was orchestrated. So we finally got him to acquiesce and come in the van with us. It was a fantastic bachelor party, although we did not get the satisfaction of torturing him for 10 to 15 minutes in the ride in the van to my shop while he thought he was possibly going to be interrogated or kidnapped or something like that. So the practical jokes will probably continue, while they will not be to the level of, an April Fool's cannonball prank. They will continue, and I'll probably eventually get Ed with something when he's least expecting it. But I've certainly found out that automotive style kidnappings are not my forte, and I should probably pick another type of practical joke.